Good evening and welcome to the first North Dakota gubernatorial candidate forum of the 2016 campaign season. I'm your host and moderator tonight, Chris Berg. Thanks so much for joining us. Now, tonight's not going to be your typical debate, excuse me, where each candidate gets only 60 seconds to answer important questions that matter to you and your family's future right here in North Dakota, because we're choosing the next executive of our state. So tonight, we want to give the candidates ample time to discuss and share their points of view on topics such as our state's economy, energy development, education, workforce recruitment, social issues, and much, much more. Now, if one of the candidates mentions the other candidate in their answer, the other candidate will have a chance to respond, and we'll keep that fairly brief. Now, I'd like to give you an idea of how things will go tonight. Many of you are watching us right now on Valley News Live KX4. You may be watching us in the western part of the state online at valleynewslive.com, or you may be listening to us on the radio on AM 1100 The Flag. First and foremost, we appreciate you joining us tonight, no matter how you're tuning in. The first half of the forum is going to be on all three of the mediums I just mentioned, TV, online, and on the radio. Then at roughly 7 o'clock, for those of you that are watching on TV on KX4, you're going to be able to continue to watch the rest of the forum online at valleynewslive.com. Now, joining us tonight, two of the three Republican candidates running for governor for the great state of North Dakota. One, Fargo businessman Doug Burgum, as well as plastic surgeon and North Dakota State Representative Rick Becker. To both of you, thank you so much for being here, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, all right,
thanks, Chris.
Many people out there tuning in. As you can see, there is an empty chair there. You may be asking yourself, where in the world is Wayne Stensham? We reached out to him repeatedly to come out and join us here tonight. Unfortunately, he chose not to be here with you tonight. His campaign manager, Nate Martindale, did send me a statement earlier this morning. Part of the statement reads as follows. He said, "Good morning, Chris. As we've previously discussed, Wayne will not be in attendance for the Valley News Live forum. He will instead be calling delegates for support at the state Republican convention and preparing for Thursday's ND GOP gubernatorial debate. Thank you very much, Nate Martindale." And gentlemen, that's where I'd like to start tonight. Mr. Burgum, when you made your announcement back in the mid part of January, you said that you spoke with Governor Jack Dalrymple. You spoke with now U.S. Senator John Hoeven, our former governor. And one of the things that jumped out to me in your announcement, you said, look, Senator Hoeven said to you, hey, when you run for governor, it's like a job interview. It's for the people of North Dakota. You're a CEO. You've conducted a lot of job interviews. I just want to know your thoughts and feelings on our Attorney General Wayne Stensham not being here tonight for this part of the job interview.
Well, I'm disappointed that Wayne's not here. And I think, as you said, as a business leader the last 35 years, I've been in a lot of important meetings, a lot of interviews, and certainly there's nothing more important right now than the future of North Dakota. And this is an opportunity to talk about those views. And so when we've got three candidates, it would be, I think, great for the citizens of North Dakota if all three of them were here to share in those dialogues.
Representative, I want to get your thoughts as well. And I will tell you this, I've had a lot of people calling me very upset about him not being here, saying to me, Chris, unfortunately, the establishment views us as a coronation. Few people even use these words. These are their words, not mine, but they are offended that our Attorney General is not here. Your thoughts on it?
Well, politically, it might be a good move. I believe that the campaign for Mr. Stensham feels that he is going to be the heir apparent, that he is next in line. But I think that the people of North Dakota deserve better. And an opportunity to express what his views are, what his vision is for North Dakota. This is a wonderful time to do that. And people out there can make their decision only if they understand where each of the candidates stand. So it's a missed opportunity for him.
Well, and I think you bring up a great point. And Doug, I'm going to start with you here. He says, hey, politically, this might be fine. And I'm going to bring it up in the context of yesterday. North Dakota United, they're the largest, union in the state for public employees and teachers, came out with a poll. If we can bring this up, please. But when there was a statewide poll head-to-head between Wayne Stensham and Doug Burgum, Wayne Stensham came in at 59. Doug Burgum, you came in at 10. 49-point difference. We're about 3.5 months away from the primary in June. How do you make up 49 points?
Well, when I look at this poll, nothing was surprising about it, because this is the information that I understood before I even jumped into the race. And as you know, since we've announced, I've done no advertising. Wayne's got a huge lead in statewide name recognition, in part because he's been working in Bismarck for 40 years. And so everybody in the state knows the Stenjum name. And so that is often reflected in polls like this. But I think we do have 102 days between now and the June 14th primary. And to me, the primary race hasn't even begun yet. And there's a lot of time for us to make up that ground.
So here's what I want to know from you, because I was on the radio this morning talking about the poll, and I said, hey, Doug Burgum's a smart man. He's a very data-driven man. If I saw that I was down by 49 points, I don't know if I would get in that race, but you're saying, hey, Chris, this is what we've seen in our polling. What makes you think you can win?
Well, there's two other things about the poll that's important. One is that this is the lowest Wayne's polled in virtually any of the races if you go back and look at his historic polling. Number two is that what is more interesting than a race that the results of a race that hasn't even begun yet, is how North Dakotans were feeling about the direction of the state. And we had a 25% drop just from last year of where people thought the state was headed. And I think that's reflective of all the people that I've talked to when I've been on the campaign trail. There's people across North Dakota that are really hurting right now. They want to hear from the candidates. They want to hear about the issues, and they want to know how we're going to fix the huge overspending that we have coming out of Bismarck.
So to win, do you almost have to root for the state to continue to go bad?
Well, I would never root for North Dakota to have a bad economy, but I know one thing as a leader: you can't fix a problem unless you acknowledge it. And I think it's important that we just acknowledge how severe a situation that we're in right now.
We'll get to that in a moment, Mr. Becker. For you, Nick Archuleta, he's the president of the NDU. They didn't even include your name in the poll. Mr. Burgum also apparently is doing some research and/or polling, according to his campaign manager. They didn't include your name either. Mr. Archuleta.
We did include.
You did?
We did include Rick in our poll, of course we did.
Thank you for clearing that up.
Yeah.
All right, that wasn't the information I had, so thank you for clearing that up. So let's move on to Mr. Archuleta. He said, and I quote, it's not likely that he's going to win the party's endorsement. Your thoughts on this poll and what Mr. Archuleta had to say?
Well, Mr. Archuleta is repeating what is being said ever since the moment that Wayne announced, and that is he's the next guy. We don't even need to look further. Everyone knows he's going to be the guy that's going to be endorsed. And really, you hear it from one person after another in the media, and it's in essence an echo chamber. No one has any data to support that premise, but they've heard it, and so they repeat it, and it goes on and on. The convention, I would contest that any of the people who are saying this have done any calling of potential or the delegates that are going to go to the state convention and actually found out where they're at. So this is just kind of like a general sense. So it has actually no value. It's not a valid statement.
But then let's get into some numbers. I'm sure you're doing some internal polling, but let's talk more about the convention. You're a one-term House member going up against against Mr. Burgum. Also, Mr. Stenjum's been doing this for 40 years. I mean, he knows, he's calling old friends tonight, apparently, a bunch of old delegates. How do you win the convention?
Well, you win it with the message. Because people are tired of the status quo, they're tired of establishment candidates. It's across the nation, it's the same in North Dakota. Mr. Stenjum has been able to rely on his name and a record of recurrent wins, but if I ask you who has he run against in the past that was a formidable candidate, I don't know if you could actually name anybody. So now we come to the convention in an entirely different mood for our state, in particular for the nation as a whole, with 3 different candidates, and I'll speak for myself. One who has a very strong, very clear message. The message will win out over simple name recognition.
All right, you've referred to your message several times. What is that message?
Well, I talked with Governor Schaefer on the phone, and we talked about a course correction, and that's what it is. It's getting back to our conservative principles. Because we are Republicans, by name alone doesn't make us conservatives. We have to look at what the platform of the party is, move the party back to where it belongs, and adhering to those conservative principles will help get us through this downturn in the economy. In fact, if we had adhered to those principles, we wouldn't be in the bind we're in right now.
But I think that kind of puts you in a tough spot. Since the 2005-2007 biennium, our budget has averaged over 36% growth. You just told me, hey, Chris, I'm not a one-term, but a 2-term House of Representative. You clearly weren't effective on getting us back to our conservative principles when you were part of it then. Why can you do it now?
Well, actually, I was effective.
It's 36% average.
It would have been higher. When I went in as a freshman legislator, I went in with the mindset we've got to turn this thing around. I started a Bastiat caucus, a group of legislators to try and change things. In 2014, I got 22 legislators signed on to a reform pledge to lower taxes, lower spending, and keep government minimized as far as in our lives. And in the first session, for example, we went 80 days and we caught some flack for that. But part of that made us go that into 4 a.m. on the 80th day was that we said no to one of the spending bills, and we were able to get another $150 million in tax cuts, in income tax cuts, before it got brought back. So there are a lot of things going on. There is absolutely no way that a freshman can go in and completely steer the entire legislature around when they have a habit of spending whatever's coming in. But we were effective in many instances.
All right, stay with us. When we come back, you just alluded to some of the spending, the budget challenges that we have. We're going to talk about the $1 billion budget shortfall that our state faces right now. How would these two gentlemen, if they were our governor, our executive today, how would they handle the budget shortfall? That, plus we're going to talk about energy development, social issues, education, much more coming up. I'd love to know your thoughts. You can always join us on our website, valleynewslive.com. That's where you can tune in as well. We'll be right back.